Olá, eu sou a Cibele e hoje eu e o João Pentagna estamos aqui com o MEF. Ele tem uma vastíssima experiência em psicologia do consumo e esse episódio vai ser em inglês. Então, como sempre, a gente vai fazer essa primeira parte em inglês, que é o idioma aqui internacional, e na sequência a gente grava uma resenha em português e a gente coloca ali na descrição desse podcast qual minutinho que você tem que acessar para você já pular para a resenha, tá? Mas se você quiser, obviamente, escutar em inglês, você vai ver a versão original aí do Mef falando para a gente. Hi, Mef. Thank you for accepting our invitation to participate in our podcast. It's a great pleasure. I'd like to ask you to quickly introduce yourself, your career, your background, and then answer the following question. What's your perspective of the field of psychology and consumer, and what's working, what's not working, and what should change?
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you so much for having me, for reaching out and inviting me here. Well, briefly, I'm the founder of Mindworx. We are a consultancy using that uses behavioral economics and consumer psychology to mainly help large banks, insurers, and telco businesses across the globe to boost sales and design new products. And my journey started, well, many years ago, some 12 years ago, I would say, with a random book by Dan Ariely, Predictably Irrational, and the rest is history. Well, then I guess 4 or 5 years into my passion, I decided to quit my corporate job, which was in 2015, and I founded Mindworx. And since, well, I've been doing what I like. So a lot of consulting, a lot of behavioral economics, consumer psychology. So this is briefly about who I am, who we are, what do we do at Mindworx. I guess we'll talk more during this podcast. But to answer your question, well, I have a rather, well, critical view of the field, I would say. Because, on the one hand, I fell in love with behavioral economics. I guess the same way as many of your listeners, the same way as the two of you, and for that I'm forever grateful for the big names from the field. But at the same time, I think the way those who are shaping the field are talking about behavioral economics is, I guess, harming it in a way, because since most of the behavioral economics influencers are from academia, they're very theoretical, and there are not that many people out there who can really get excited by theory. And what we have seen happen so many times is that professionals who get excited by behavioral economics, who get excited by consumer psychology, they are they hear about some of the famous experiments and so on. Then suddenly they hit the wall, because they can't see, how can I apply this in my daily job? How can I apply it in business? And no one is actually giving them the answers, because we're constantly in the field talking about academia and super rigorous testing and randomized controlled trials and things like that. And business people, and they don't really care about that. They care about the results. How can I use all these fascinating insights that I truly believe in to boost my bottom line, to increase, I don't know, conversions, sales, to reach my KPIs or surpass my KPIs using these insights? And they're not getting the answers. And the second thing is that I think, and this is very controversial, but I think there is a big overemphasis on ethics. And don't get me wrong, I think ethics is very important. Of course, you shouldn't be manipulating and tricking people, but this should not be the first thing that you start talking about with someone from from business who is eager to start using it, because what you'll achieve is simply to discourage those people. Because if you combine theory and the academic rigor in testing and designing the different randomized control trials, you combine it with a huge emphasis on ethics, well, it's a showstopper. So this is what I don't really like about the field. I think it's just so powerful. There is just so much more that can be achieved with all these fascinating insights, but we have to start talking about it in a different way. We have to start focusing more on the practical applications, on how this can help businesses, because only if businesses embrace it, only then will it become really, really popular. I think it can be as popular and as widespread as, say, big data, for instance, because there is this power in it. We just have to unlock it. So this is maybe to begin with my critical views of the field, and that's why from the very beginning, myself and my entire team at Mindworx, we've been super focused on the practical business applications. And that's why we created an online masterclass on behavioral economics and psychology in marketing. That's why we created InsideBE.com, a hub dedicated to behavioral economics in business with dozens and dozens of case studies, because we truly believe that we have to show the business applications.
Interesting, Matt. We have this pen here in Brazil too. And tell us a little about the transformation of your company from behavioral science consultants to consultants using psychology and behavioral sciences.
Yeah, and this is maybe a story that's very important for all those who dream of one day entering the field, maybe one day founding their own companies and finding their own way in the field. Because as many others, I've started by as I said before, falling in love with the topic. And I thought, well, if I just start talking about the topic, everybody will be super excited. And that's what I and then my entire team started doing, for the first year. During the first years of Mindworx, we kept talking about behavioral economics, and behavioral economics can be applied here in hiring. It can be applied here in driving, work safety. It can be applied in sales. It can be applied in digital sales and conversions. But we only were getting smaller projects, and only from those companies and those managers who have also been huge fans of behavioral economics. And then a couple of years in, I thought, well, we should kind of reconsider how we do things. And we started looking at what are the types of projects that we had been working on over the past years. What kind of companies are approaching us, from which fields? And so we started doing all kind of analysis, and it became clear to us that we shouldn't frame ourselves as behavioral economics consultants. Because behavioral economics is just a tool. It's not a silver bullet solution to everything, to every business problem. And also, in our projects, we realize that it's not only behavioral economics we're using. We're using design thinking, we're using copywriting, we're using UX design, and many other things, workshop facilitation. And then we thought, well, we should, instead of focusing on the topic, we should start focusing on the problems that companies are facing. And that's the big transformation we went through. And since we really started growing, and we started doing even better as a company, because now we are talking we speak the same language as our clients. Because when we work with the bank, for instance, and they want to increase digital sales of their investment products, honestly, they don't care about behavioral economics. They care about increasing digital sales. And our edge, our competitive advantage, is that we are strong in consumer psychology and behavioral economics. But at the end of the day, we are helping them to solve their challenge. So this has been a big transformation from behavioral economics to behavioral economics consultants to consultants using behavioral economics and consumer psychology. And it's been absolutely life-changing for us. And it's been a move in the right direction. So if I can just finish off by maybe wrapping it up into an advice to prospective consultants, look for the problems, because you wanna solve problems. And maybe you're an expert in HR, maybe you're an expert in digital marketing, maybe you're an expert in sales, whatever. So build your kind of narrative and communication around how you solve a specific business challenge using consumer psychology. Don't only talk about the topic of behavioral economics, because there'll be just so many people who won't listen to you because they will think that it's irrelevant to them. So yeah, so much on your question, I guess. Does that make sense, Joe?
Yes, a lot. Here in Brazil, we have the same pain, the same challenges, the same problem.
So, Matt, when people think about consumer psychology, they usually think about fast-moving consumer goods. I think it's a mindset, but we know it's not only about that. Could you share with us a case study from financial sector, please?
Yeah, sure. I'll be happy to. And that's the field where we're most active. And I want to share with you one case study. It's a really kind of a small, simple thing, but it very nicely illustrates how we approach challenges, and what is our kind of philosophy when doing consulting. And so this was an insurance company, actually. And this insurance company approached us because they were running a very unsuccessful campaign. They were offering free travel insurance for a year to all their clients. The reason behind was that, well, they just want to lock people in and give them some more value, and then the travel insurance would automatically renew the next year. Well, you get the point. But despite the fact that it was a really good product, and it was a product that otherwise you would pay for, no one was, or very few people decided to actually go for it and activate the free travel insurance. So they were really confused. They didn't know what to do. So they came to us, and the very first thing we thought was, well, obviously, this is not a problem of a lack of motivation on the part of the customers. Well, they're getting a good product, they're getting it for free. How much more can we motivate people? Well, we can start paying them to get the product, but that's definitely not the way forward. So we thought, well, obviously, there are some barriers that discourage people from going for it. There are some psychological barriers, and that's what we started looking for. We conducted research, and we tried to uncover those psychological barriers. And as it turned out, there were two main barriers that were discouraging people from taking up the offer. So maybe I'll make a step back to just explain how the entire kind of communication process was orchestrated. It was very simple. They were just sending a direct email to their customer base with the offer. So we showed the email to customers, and we asked them about how they thought about it, what was going through in their mind as they were reading through the different parts of the email. And the first barrier that we uncovered was that people kind of had a distrust in a free offer. Why would someone give me travel insurance for free? There's something suspicious about it, and we thought, well, I mean, that's a valid point, and if we don't overcome this barrier, well, we're finished. So we thought, well, how can we do this? And then we thought about a couple of things. So the first thing we realized was that in the email, you had the list of risks or riders that were included in the insurance coverage, but what was missing were the sums insured. So we thought, well, that's the obvious first step to do, to add the sums insured, because otherwise people can think that, well, it's just a pro forma insurance, and anyway, when I travel somewhere, I'd rather get something that I pay for just to be sure that I can rely on it. So that's what we added, and we also added social proof. But it wasn't in the very obvious form, 9 out of 10 customers accept this offer, because that doesn't work. That's obsolete. What we said was that well, this travel insurance includes all the most frequently purchased coverages. Just to show people that, well, others are buying and choosing these coverages which are already included in the insurance. So this was the first barrier we discovered and addressed, but there was a more important one, and the more important one was the following: that people were afraid that they would forget to cancel the free travel insurance before the trial period ended. And again, we thought, well, that's a valid concern once again. And if we just don't address it, people won't go for it, because everybody has been burned, right? I think everybody has sometime during their life signed up for a free trial or something like that, and forgot about it and kept paying, sometimes forever. And so what we did was that we added a very simple sentence. Don't worry, you won't forget about your free trial ending, because we'll send you a reminder well in advance. Nothing fancy, nothing special, but understanding what is the barrier, what is the concern, and addressing it in very plain and simple language. Then we tested the original version, and the new version. There was an A/B test, and we saw 167% increase in conversions. And the reason why I love this case study is that on the one hand, it's super simple. It shows that very often it's not about fancy copywriting. It's not about using a beautiful copy to describe the value of your service or your product. No. First of all, you have to ask the question, why not? Why aren't customers doing what I want them to do? What are the barriers that are standing in their way? And as you start searching what those barriers could be, you come across amazing, very often simple ideas to implement, which can drive really, really amazing results. So this is the case study that I wanted to share. It's a case study about uncertainty and the power of removing uncertainty.
Yeah, this case shows the beauty of behavioral science applied. It's simple and effective. And Matt,
Absolutely.
tell us a little about your methodology, the SURF framework.
Yeah, so over the past nearly 9 years now since I started Mindworx, we explored and tried using many different frameworks out there, and none of them really worked for us. It's because it's usually just a selection of some behavioral principles, and it doesn't really tell you what to do. And as we had more and more experience, we saw that, well, the way we're doing things is essentially identical in every project. And it starts with defining what is my behavioral goal. That's the very first step, right? So, for instance, in the case of this email campaign for the insurer I just talked about, when you send out a direct email, you have to know what your behavioral goals are. So, what is a behavioral goal? Imagine that you're a customer. You open my email and you start reading. So the behavioral goal is the answer to the following question. What do I want the customer to do? How do I want the customer to feel when he sees the email, for the very first time? So during, the first 2 seconds, then, and you go on. So you split a simple thing like an email into several kind of steps, and for each step you have to define a clear behavioral goal, because behavioral economics, behavioral science is about the behavior. So what you can change is the behavior. And this is a huge mistake that we see marketeers and salespeople make, that they just think, well, I want to increase the effectiveness. I want people to get my product, to buy my product. Well, it's not a behavior, right? You can work with behavior, but you first have to define what is the behavioral goal that I have. The second step we always do is to ask the question, why not? So why isn't the customer performing the behavioral goal? So why doesn't the customer feel the way I want them to feel? Why don't they do what I want them to do? So we start discovering the different psychological barriers. Then we address and remove the barriers. And only after all this has been done, we start focusing on increasing motivation. And this is how we came up with the SURF methodology. So S stands for set behavioral goals. U stands for uncover the barriers. R is remove the barriers. And F is focus on motivation. And this is what we're teaching in our training programs. And this is the moment when people have the biggest aha moments, when they realize that for sometimes decades, they have been doing things wrong because they have only been focusing on increasing motivation. So this is the way we approach things. This is our methodology. This is what we're teaching to others. And this is how they achieve really, really great results, because it's somehow flipping the logic on its head.
Amazing framework. For sure it will help people to understand better how they can do better business. And so once you have this framework and this methodology, how people can become a behavioral economic consultant and licensee?
Well, so from the very beginning, we have been doing a lot of training and along our consulting projects. And over the past years, we saw a huge increase in demand for our training programs from different countries. Companies wanting the training in different languages, and we were not able to fulfill all the demand. And we thought, well, what if we didn't teach the framework and all consumer psychology ourselves, but what if we partnered with experts out there and gave them all our know-how, all the frameworks, everything that has been working for us for all those years? They would basically become our licensed trainers, and then they could either build their own business, using our training, using our methodologies that come with, the credibility, all the clients across the globe that we have been doing business with over the past years. And that's what we started this last year, actually, in September. We now have the first licensed trainers on board, and they're super successful with the training. They're delivering into companies, and they're basically getting people to all those aha moments that we are getting our trainees to. And so they're building their business on top of it. They're kind of improving and advancing their careers. And this is at the same time, I think, what I would have been super happy to have when I was just starting out. Because, when you're starting out, you have zero credibility. You have zero product that works. And if I had this at my disposal at the beginning, it would have just, fast-tracked my career and Mindworx by years. So, and I get every week, I get someone reaching out on LinkedIn and asking me, so how can I enter the field? Can I get a job with your company? I'm thinking of going independent and starting doing consulting in the field of behavioral economics. And it's difficult. And that's the second reason why we decided to do this licensing, to help all those who want to start their careers to have a head start. So if people would like to explore it further and to read more about it, just go on our website, which is mindworx.net/licensing, and you'll find all the info there.